The solution to catastrophic wildfire is simple. Prevention, prevention, and more prevention. And clear-cut logging does not provide that. If we choose not to go down this road of utilitarianism, greatest good for greatest number, our futures are diabolical. Welcome to the amazing Doug Fir podcast. A true environmental guru. So this is my first podcast. I'm pretty excited about it because I have a deep passion for something that everybody's having issues with, and it's called catastrophic wildfire. My name is Douglas Wade Hornberger. I live in a place called Diamond City, Alberta. Born and raised there, moved there in 1970 to a small family farm, and I continue to reside there. So I've been on that farm for 55 years. My grandfather farmed that farm back in the 40s and the 50s. It was a welfare farm for their church at the time. So we have a lot of history out there. But I gave up the smell of pig crap back when I was 18, 19 years old for the smell of spruce sap and chainsaw gas. And it's been quite the adventure ever since. I've been able to do many, many things, travel many places, gain so much knowledge on trees and flora and fauna and basically nature. So in this adventure, this long-term adventure that I've been on, I've been able to hit some benchmarks. And some of the benchmarks that I hit were quite substantial as far as I'm concerned in the philosophy of nature, being plugged in, I guess you could call it, to the earth. One of those benchmarks was in 1994 in a magazine called Bugle Magazine, and it was put on by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, and it was a fella named David Stalling who had a 20-page dossier basically on catastrophic wildfire and our forests and how everything all works and what we should be doing opposed to what we are doing. So after reading this and reading the different species, and you know, the Douglas fir has the most fire-resistant bark in the forest. That's why if it doesn't have a lot of debris around it, when fire comes in, that tree survives. And that's why there's Doug firs that are 400, 500, or 600, 1,000 years old, is because they dodged the bullet, you could say. Just a tidbit. In 1994, after reading this 20-page article, at the end of it, David Stalling, through all the information that he gathered from all the years of being a wildlands biologist, came up with three solutions to catastrophic wildfire. First one is do nothing, which is what we've been doing, but our forests continue to become more overfueled, and therefore we, with lightning strikes and human issues, lighting fires, by doing nothing, we're feeling the pinch of catastrophic wildfire because we've done nothing. Second one, we can start lighting these forests and reintroduce fire to these overfueled forests. But we're going to be lighting a wildfire, not a forest fire, not a forest floor mopping fire, but a catastrophic wildfire because of the fuel loads that are in that forest. So just lighting randomly fires to reintroduce is insane because all you're doing is causing more carnage and more destruction. The third one, which I can say pretty much from 94 has been, back to this benchmark in my life, I now know the truth. And the truth is in the third solution, which is a mechanical thinning, then a burn, a light burn, sometimes in piles, small piles, so that nutrient stays in that ecosystem. So mechanical thinning, then light, small, 5-foot forced floor mopping fires, and leave all the big trees, the mother trees, the old growth, you could call it. So leaving the old growth trees, then over the next 40 or 50 years, everything all comes back and you do it again and you harvest some of those trees out. But that's another story, harvesting and what we do with harvesting. This is about the third solution, which is mechanical thinning, deadwood, thin, brush, weed, remove, and then burn. Controlled burns. At the end of this third solution, we have this amazing, amazing forest. It's full of health, it's full of vigor, there's lots of forbs and grasses and nutrients for the animals to feed off of, then the predation, so that the whole entire circle of life continues. Folks, clear-cut logging is wrong. It's been wrong for 60 years. It is absolute insanity to clear-cut log old growth spruce, pine, and Douglas fir. Philosophically, why would you do that? So there are solutions to that, but there's also economic solutions. But let's get back to wildfire. If we were to brush and weed and thin and space and deadwood our forests, and then do a low-level cool fire, and leave all these trees so that we have this, we have solved wildfire. So let's say a town like Fort Mac. Had Wade Hornberger been out at Fort Mac, or pardon me, Doug Fir, out at Fort Mac 20 years ago, and through disaster services and emergency services, and then some funding from the federal government and the provincial government and the municipality around there, and we went in and brushed and weeded and thinned and did all that we needed to do to make everything safe, it would be a park around that town. We wouldn't have to wake up to sirens and catastrophic wildfire and then evacuations and loss of homes and loss of life and loss of everything because we did the prevention. Sometimes I giggle about prevention and I go, yeah, there's 3 solutions to catastrophic wildfire besides the 3 philosophical ones. 1, prevention. 2, prevention. And 3, more prevention. That's it. That's all it is just prevention. So what we should be doing in our forests is going to unhealthily overfueled forests and go in and do these projects and draw a harvest of equitable lumber out of the forest and leaving all the debris in there for the burn. Now, if we were to take that, and this is the economic end of it, if we were to take that lumber and we were to build houses and sell those houses instead of selling vast amounts of raw logs to all over the world and let them assimilate it, we would be getting value added out of our trees. And when we get value added out of our trees, we make enormous amounts of money on our logs instead of just some money. And then the big corporations that buy all these logs, they're the ones that make all the money. Well, why did they get to make all the money on clear-cut logging? It's like the abuse is almost double-hitted. So they steal all our logs, and then they're the ones that make all the money on it. The loggers don't make hardly any money. The truckers certainly, after some investigation, don't make much money. Some of them are out there logging just for the cost of the fuel and their insurance. It's insane. And why? When a house is worth so much money, or a small family farm, or a family farm is worth so much money, house, barn, shop, pond, shed, shelters, barns, all this, how come we're not making that money on that abuse? So we stop the abuse, we stop clear-cut logging, and we start doing sustainable logging, which is what I'm talking about, where at the end of it, the forests are lush and green and beautiful. And most of all, they're fire safe. So when a lightning strike hits, or a lazy camper doesn't put his fire out, or somebody throws a cigarette out the window on their way to Vancouver to visit their mom, and this fire starts, it's not going to go very far, and it's going to be controlled. So instead of called an uncontrolled catastrophic wildfire, we have a controlled fire that is under control. So we send a couple fire trucks, done. This is because the fuel loads have been reduced. By reducing those fuel loads, we reduce the amount of fire in that forest. So we're basically, by doing this process, we're cooling the fire down. And I've read many things on soil and soil management. When you have a catastrophic 100-foot wildfire, it scorches the soil up to 12 inches. And some of that soil took millennia to get there. And now it just burned off on a big fire. So even when we do replant or everything comes back, it suffers greatly. Now, if you have a cool fire, what it does is it just renutriates the soil, it invigorates it, invigorates growth, and it is an addition to that 12 inches of soil base instead of a takeaway. Simple science. I'm from a pig farm in Diamond City. I'm not really that smart. But when you do something for so long, and you see and you get a vision of what is supposed to happen, then all of a sudden it's not about intelligence, it's just about doing the right thing. None of this makes any sense. Why do we even have wildfire? Under this philosophy, and the philosophy is called utilitarianism. And it's been philosophized for eons on greatest good for greatest number. My best example of that is in a grade 11 Webster's dictionary, where it says utilitarianism, greatest good for greatest number, should be the purpose of human conduct. Martha Stewart, she said, to be a good gardener, you must be a good utilitarian. And I've done some deep philosophy because I'm a tree guy, so I get to do philosophy every day on what we should be doing in a backyard or a front yard, or what we should be doing in a garden, or what we should be doing with shrubs and bushes and trees and whatnot. We want our trees to be the best that they can be. And greatest good for greatest number is what gets us to that point. And even if we fall short, at least we're heading in the right direction. But big government, corporate profit, we lose all that. Because now it's about the money and not about the trees. It's not about the forests. It's about them making money. That's why we have clear-cut logging. So if we started doing value-added building with our materials within Canada, or within the world, not just Canada, but everywhere. They're having problems with this in the US. Look at the wildfires in California twice now. You couldn't go in there and clean everything up before something happened. As a tree guy, I could easily be sent somewhere and says, okay, what do you think of this? Oh, okay, well, this needs to go and all that stuff needs to go. We'll pile it all up there and pile it all up there and we'll burn it and we'll get all that dead stuff out. Remove it. Burn it. Remove, burn. That's two pretty simple words if you're going to try to fix this humongous thing that everybody keeps talking about and seeing. We lost Waterton. We lost Jasper. We're going to lose Banff. Now they have this big plan to do a clear cut around Banff and Canmore. That's insane. Why would you do that? Why would you mar? Just brush, weed, thin, space, deadwood, and clean up those forests. And then don't do it a mile or two out. Do 10 miles out. Drawing that big harvest in. Leaving all that debris to burn in the low-level forest floor mopping fire. Those are our parks. I call them the crown jewels of Canada. And in the last 6 years, we've lost 2 of them. People don't realize that Banff National Park generates $12 billion a year gross revenue. I work in Banff. I buy business licenses there every 3, 4, 5 years. And I go there and work there for 4 or 5 months. And I spend a lot of time there when I'm not even working, just hanging out in Banff, because it's such an amazing, amazing place. Why would we lose Banff? Like, this is a serious, serious thing. This is our center stone of all of our parks, maybe globally. We're just going to let it burn because some guy's driving to Vancouver to visit his mom and he throws a cigarette out the window and it just burns the park? I'm not going to talk about Parks Canada today because I don't want to offend anybody. But we have to start laying blame where blame is warranted. And if we don't figure out the problem, we're not going to figure out the solution. If it was up to me, I'd have a big convoy of Canadians rushing there right now to go in and do all the fine work that needs to happen in an eco-sensitive area, right down to horse logging. And horse logging, you couldn't feed the horses regular hay that has seeds in it that would be invasive to that eco-sensitive area. You'd almost have to feed those horses what is there. So, I mean, this is careful consideration to go in and do these projects as environmentally safe as we could possibly do it. I'd love to start a convoy, but look what happened to those poor guys that started the last one. They're still sitting in jail, rotting. I'm a free man. I got a nice family. I'm a gun owner. I love to shoot. I enjoy outdoors activities. I'm a good guy. I would never risk my freedom. I would never risk my freedom even in saving the park. I wouldn't risk my freedom. Because what am I supposed to do now that I'm in jail? I'm not going to do anything. So I'm not doing anything. But I am trying to get this information out that we need to assimilate. And I would like to move forward on a master plan on how to do this. And I've had a lot of videos. Stephen's done a lot of videos for me over the years. And I'd like to start posting more of that stuff. It's TreeV on YouTube. And that's Tree and then VEE on YouTube. I'm wearing a cowboy hat and an orange shirt. Check me out. I also have Fire Guard on Facebook, which is about 65 videos on why would you leave your park like this? It's a lot of information too. And if you get through it all, it's almost like you could come up with the same conclusion as me. This is insanity, that we're even fighting this environmental scourge. And then there's Doug Fir. Defiant Doug Fir on Facebook. Go to Defiant Doug Fir. I've got lots of really cool videos over the years, and they're just nice videos. I Believe it or not, I enjoy watching them. And I was the one that, so it's kind of funny. And there's been times where stuff has popped up of my stuff, and I've watched it, and it almost brings a tear to my eye that somebody so passionate, somebody that spent so much money attaining this elevation of environmental superiority of sorts, where I'm plugged into nature. I know how it works, and I'm an arborist, so I'm doing it on a daily basis. I did a lot of work out in Bragg Creek, in Banff, Canmore. I do prairie work, I do urban forestry, I do natural forestry, and the big thing is I do fuel load mitigation, is what it's called. And there it is, the official term, fuel load mitigation. Reducing those fuels, getting the crap out of there and burning it so that you're reintroducing fire to a fire eco-sensitive area. Anyways, thank you very much for your time, and Doug Fir out. Welcome to the amazing Doug Fir podcast.